Governor Tim Walz and other state leaders on both sides say they want to give you, the taxpayer, rebate checks, which means some families could have a few thousand extra dollars in your pockets. But some economists that you talked to, Sammy, said this could cause maybe a counterintuitive effect.
Yeah, that's right, Jana. So Federal Reserve Bank of Minneapolis President Neel Kashkari was at an event earlier in the month, and he said that while rebate checks obviously sound good to taxpayers, it gives him pause because it can actually be inflationary. Economists I talked to say these checks would have a negative impact on inflation, but it might not be enough to cancel out the positive effect it would have on families.
There's a story at every grocery store. One that tells you about how prices have changed.
Definitely the groceries are way more expensive than they have been.
And families say it's been harder to keep up.
Prices make me think more about what I'm buying. And that's a change since a year or so ago.
So the idea of a rebate check sounded good to every shopper I spoke to.
I would definitely be excited to get a couple $1,000s extra.
But if more money goes into the pockets of taxpayers, economists tell me that could drive up the prices of things they're already struggling to afford.
So what it does is it increases demand for products. And what that means then is there's less incentive for firms to want to cut prices.
Mark Bergen is a professor with the University of Minnesota's Carlson School of Management.
It's kind of the surprising counterintuitive idea that it might have a negative, and that negative is inflation.
He says that the impact would depend on how people would handle that money.
Probably go on another vacation.
Maybe for the food also, like, because the food prices keep going up.
Bergen says prices would rise in the areas that see that spending.
Been thinking we're going to put it in our savings account.
But if they put it away, the effect wouldn't be immediate. Either way, he says the negative impact on inflation won't be a big one. But is it worth it?
Is it worth it? Absolutely. Even though the inflationary effect is real, it's not big enough to overwhelm the value of these subsidies and the value of these rebate checks.
Economics professor Louis Johnston with the College of St. Benedict isn't convinced the pluses cancel out the minuses.
It might be a wash. The extra income that you get in dollar terms might get washed out by the extra prices that you have to pay, the higher prices.
Shoppers tell me there isn't a debate on whether or not people could use the help.
So something else to consider if taxpayers don't get that rebate check, depending on what the state does with this surplus, that could also have an inflationary impact. Jana?